Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. I went back to my some of my old videos and I found this comment here. I wanted to elaborate on this a little bit. It's from the video I had that a couple years ago, maybe last year, had the most views that I've had. And it was about $8,500 I must have mentioned in that video. To get married and do all that is not expensive at all, somebody said, as long as you are happy. So where does that amount come from? I think probably most people are going to spend more than that. And the reason I say that is because I married my wife on our one and only time there to get all of this taken care of. By the way, please subscribe here to Love Beyond the Sea. This is a channel about marriage, relationship with a Filipina that has commitment, which I take to mean marriage. And one thing that I suppose could keep somebody away from overseas dating is the cost. Now, again, plane tickets vary, and this was 8 years ago, 2015. So let's say my flight there, in the amount that I remember it being, usually would be about $1,600, and let's say $200 or so, and it's probably closer to $300 or $400 to make the flight from. First of all, we have to go from here to, let's say, Denver to Los Angeles, 14.5-hour flight, Los Angeles to Manila. And that takes care of the like $1,500, $1,600. You still have to go from Manila to Davao. I don't know, $200 there, $200 back. And then, so basically that $1,600 turns out to be about $2,000 when it's all said and done. I did stay at a condo the first time, since I was so unfamiliar with the whole Philippines and the weather and all that. I wanted to make sure I was cool. So that was a couple thousand plus whatever I paid for the condo. That was probably, I don't know, $30 a night, possibly. And I stayed there most of 3 weeks. The food, we might have spent some on food. We probably did. I probably bought it and then her family cooked it. I don't remember, but we always had food and we ate together. This is the first time there, so it wasn't, treating, everybody to all kinds of goodies while we were there the first time. I was just there to meet her, but to marry her if everything went well. As far as the wedding, that's kind of depends on whether you go big or small. That one, I'm guessing, it was probably around $1,600. That's just a guess, give or take a few hundred. $1,600 to add on the flights and the condos and whatever food we may have spent. Might have bought some clothes there too, but that's probably immaterial. Other than that, I think it comes down to the paperwork for the visa. I did hire somebody back at that time to help me, and I was just here online looking for all the costs that I had that went with that, and I can't find it. I don't know. It seems like in my mind I've seen it here before, but I just can't ever seem to find it. You've got, his fee. You've got a medical fee. You've got a fee for a green card, which I paid before she even got here. I paid for everything at once. I wish I had that list. And you go to Manila. I paid for her to fly there, and because that's where the interview was, and to stay in a hotel nearby because she can't be late. She's got to be there for that. So that's another cost added to it. There probably were 3 or 4 other costs. I don't think they were that much, but they were part of this 8,500 that I referenced. Now, I probably didn't include my wife's trip up here from the Philippines, so that was probably another $1,600 just to get up here, one-way trip. And so I can say probably, you know, we were probably around the $10,000 range if you want to include me going there, doing everything for just 3 weeks, and have her coming back over here. Now, one thing I didn't add in yet, didn't mention, was the honeymoon. Our wedding went a little over what we were planning on budgeting, and my wife was very insistent we stick to that budget. I can remember her talking to her family about that. But, you know, I was just fine if they wanted to spend more on a wedding. It's just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We had 100 people or more there at the wedding. It was quite a day, quite a long day. So then we had our honeymoon, and that wasn't all that expensive because it was nearby. So that's my figure there, probably $10,000 minimum. I'll say minimum. Now, I want to hear from you if you were able to marry somebody from the Philippines and bring her over to your place for less. I'd be a little surprised if it was less than $10,000, because most people take more than one attempt to go to the Philippines, get to know somebody, make sure that's the one, and then propose. And so by that time, 2-3 trips is definitely going to add up just in plane trips alone, not to mention even if they do a fiancé visa, you know, you're going to have what's called an adjustment of status. Who knows, that could be another 1,000 or 1,500 to change her status from single to now married. We were already married, so we didn't have to have that extra cost. And one last cost, where you think about how much it may have cost you, was the wedding rings. But I don't include that because that's going to be spent no matter what, no matter who you marry, whether it's somebody from across the street or the Philippines. And I wanted to get her a really, really good one, so I did. So that's the topic here, the cost. I did it on one trip. I'm sure I'm not the only person that's done it on one trip. Spent hours and hours online, video chatting, texting, and saying, you know what, I'd like to marry you. They decide to do that. He gets a ring, goes to the Philippines, picks the right time to propose. They get married, they go on a honeymoon, and then they start all of this process. Now, if you do the visa process yourself, you will save some money right there. I didn't want to do it myself because I didn't want to screw it up, end up taking longer to see her, or even worse, end up having arguments over how to fill out the forms, and you know, did you fill it out, or who made a mistake here, or what happened to our petition. Now it's taking even longer these days, like 1.5 years. So keep those thoughts in mind. It's going to cost more if you're going to be trying to marry somebody from the Philippines. However, look at it this way. If you marry somebody from your country, usually the weddings can cost as much as I spent to get married, because it will cost a lot less in the Philippines. So have some money set aside before you start getting interested in a woman from the Philippines. I would say probably around $10,000 if you're including her flight, if it's going to be a one-way flight for her. I think most people probably are going to say they spent a little more before it was all said and done. So if you still remember what those amounts were, let me know in the comments section here on Love Beyond the Sea.